I would like to put in a quick note here about the names of my Anglo-Saxon characters. One of the difficulties of writing about this period is that, though the settings are familiar, recognisable to this day, the remnants of the dyke marching across the tops of the hills, the great cathedral in Hereford, which has foundations that predate Offa himself, the language in which the chronicles were first written is Early English, which is less recognisable. It contained letters we do not have in our alphabet. For instance, one representing the th sound, and another the combined AE with which so many names begin. The chronicles and histories were copied again and again in meticulous but often unintelligible script, often clearly guesswork. Then subsequent versions were translated, perhaps into Middle English, then into Latin or Norman French, before they were ever rendered into the English that we understand, and there seems to have been no standard way of interpreting them. Thus we end up with a single name being written with perhaps 6 different spellings. After consulting historians, other historical novelists, and paleographers, I opted for the solution followed by everyone else. I went with the simplest version, in my view, of the names I needed. For my Anglo-Saxon protagonist, Eadburh, I specified a pronunciation within the story. It may not be right, but it was what I called her in my head. For the other characters, I chose what I regarded as the easiest, but left the pronunciation to the gods. I don't speak Old English. If you do, I hope this approach doesn't spoil the story for you. Welsh names are also tricky, to those unfamiliar with the language. My hero is called Eliseth. The earliest known spelling mistake in Welsh is his name, or that of his grandfather, carved on a great pillar near Llangollen. It was obviously never easy. In his case as well, I have specified within the story how the name was pronounced, as its echo resonates across the hills. Life in the time of Offa was wild, exciting, and very dangerous. Not somewhere a 21st century historian and the wife of a respectable cathedral canon expected to find themselves, or somewhere one would want to be trapped forever. Be careful as you walk these hills. There may be dragons there. The story starts. Elise! There she was again. Wretched woman. Calling. Endlessly calling. With a sigh, Simon Armstrong slammed down the lid of his laptop and stood up. His train of thought had vanished. He walked across the room and dragged open the front door. He didn't expect to see her. So far he hadn't caught even a glimpse of her, but he had to try. The first time he heard her, he thought it was someone calling their dog out there in the dark. But the more he listened, the more desolate and desperate the cry sounded. He could hardly sit there and ignore it. The isolated holiday cottage was situated below a high ridge on the border between England and Wales, near part of the overgrown ditch which was all that remained in this part of the world of the famous Offa's dyke. The house was small and picturesque, stone-built, with roses climbing over the porch, blessed with every modern convenience, everything he had hoped for when he had booked it online. With its huge, solid but slightly crooked stone chimney, the main front windows, 2 up and 2 down, and the blue door with its wooden porch, it resembled a child's picture of a little house in a fairy story. Outside, an uneven flagged terrace was bounded by a low stone wall, and beyond that a lane led up to what must be one of the most stunning views in Britain. From there he could see the mid-Wales hills of the Radnor Forest, the distinctive outline of the Brecon Beacons, the Black Mountains, and behind him, on the English side of the border, the Malvern Hills, and eastwards towards the Shropshire Hills. But no sign of Elise, whatever she was. He went back indoors, closed the door, and with a shiver walked over to the fireplace. Bending to put a match to the kindling piled in the hearth, he stood and watched as the flames raced.